We all live with a version of ourselves that exists only in our heads. The person we could have been if we'd made different choices. If we'd taken a different job, married a different person, answered a different phone call. For most of us, that other self is just a thought, a ghost of a life we never lived. For Daniel Hartman, that other self was real. It spoke to him, warned him, recorded messages he didn't remember making, and by the time he realized who was really speaking, it was already too late. This is the story of the man who heard his future and couldn't escape it. Daniel was 35, a software support engineer living in a small apartment on the edge of the city. From the outside, his life looked normal. Wake up, check emails, work remote, microwave dinner, scroll until tired, repeat. But if you looked a little closer, you'd see the cracks. The unopened boxes in the corner that used to belong to his younger brother, Kyle. The way Daniel flinched at the sound of sirens. The voicemail he never deleted but never played again. A year earlier, Kyle had died in a car crash. He'd called Daniel for a ride. Daniel ignored it. He was too tired that night. The guilt never left. Lately, Daniel had been having headaches, sharp, bright flashes behind his eyes. Moments of déjà vu so strong they made him nauseous. On a Tuesday night, after another evening of staring at nothing, he finally fell asleep around midnight. At 2:57 a.m., his phone lit up on the nightstand. New voice memo saved, 9 seconds. Daniel didn't use the voice memo app. He hadn't opened it in months. Half asleep, he grabbed the phone and hit play. His own voice whispered,
"Get out of bed. Don't look at the mirror."
He froze. The room was dark except for the pale light from the screen. Across from the bed, mounted on the wall, was a full-length mirror. He'd owned it for years. Tonight, it looked wrong. Too dark. Too deep. A slow scraping sound moved across the floor, like a bare foot dragging. Every hair on his body stood up. He looked toward the mirror anyway. The lamp was off, but the city lights outside gave just enough glow to see his outline. Just his. No one behind him. No movement. The scraping stopped. He forced a laugh, hit delete on the memo, and dropped the phone face down. Sleep didn't come back. The next morning, Daniel woke with a splitting headache and the kind of exhaustion that felt older than his body. He checked his phone out of habit. 2 new memos had appeared overnight. Memo 1, 5 seconds.
"You said you'd listen this time."
Memo 2, 11 seconds.
"Don't talk to anyone at work today. Not in person."
Daniel snorted and tossed the phone on the couch. He worked from home. He barely talked to anyone at work anyway. Maybe some glitch had turned on the microphone while he was dreaming. By noon, he was on a video call with his manager and 2 co-workers. They were discussing a customer issue, simple stuff. Log errors, patch deployment, ticket timeline. Halfway through, his manager frowned. "Did you change your mind?"
"About what?"
"You just said you'd take the weekend shift. Now you're saying you can't." Daniel shook his head.
"I never said that."
All 3 co-workers stared at him. One of them muttered,
"You literally just did, like 30 seconds ago."
A cold wave rolled over him. After the call, he checked the meeting recording. There he was, clear as day, on camera, saying, "Yeah, I'll take the weekend shift. That's fine." Smiling. He didn't remember saying it. At all. That night, another memo appeared. Length, 27 seconds. His voice, but hoarse, rushed, urgent.
"Today was the first split. You don't feel it yet, but you will. Set an alarm for 3:14 a.m. Watch the hallway camera. Don't look away."
It was the word split that stuck with him. Split what? Split from who? From himself? He set the alarm anyway. At 3:12 a.m., his alarm went off. Daniel dragged himself from bed and sat in front of his laptop, logged into his building's security portal. The feed from the 3rd floor hallway, his floor, filled the screen. Dim lights, shut doors, empty. 3:13 rolled by. At exactly 3:14 a.m., a figure walked into frame from the far end of the hall. Daniel leaned closer. Same hair, same slouch, same gray hoodie with the faded band logo. It was him. The version on the screen wasn't surprised to see the camera. In fact, he looked directly into it, as if he knew exactly when Daniel was watching. Real Daniel whispered,
What the hell?
The hallway Daniel raised his hand slowly and pointed down the hall toward Daniel's door. The feed stuttered, glitched. A single frame briefly showed something wrong. There were two Daniels on the screen, one walking, one standing motionless at the far end of the hall. Then the feed cut to static. In Daniel's real hallway, the apartment door handle clicked, slowly, deliberately. He held his breath. The handle turned a few degrees, then stopped. No knock, no voice, no footsteps walking away. Just silence. He didn't go to the door. He didn't sleep. At sunrise, he checked his phone. One new memo. You saw it this time. Good. No timestamp, no date, just his voice. He didn't delete this one. The next day, the headache behind his eyes turned into a constant pressure. Every sound felt doubled. Every movement felt slightly delayed, like his body and brain were a frame out of sync. By afternoon, he booked an emergency appointment with a neurologist. The waiting room was too bright, too white. Dr. Leveling was in his 50s, measured, and not the type to reach for wild explanations. Daniel tried to explain everything in a way that sounded sane. The memos, the video, the call he didn't remember, the door handle. Instead of laughing it off, Levin listened carefully.
How long have you felt out of step, for lack of a better term?
Since the accident. Since my brother. But this is new.
Levin asked him to play a memo. Daniel chose the 27-second one about the split. Levin leaned closer, listened twice, then asked,
Play another.
Daniel opened one labeled only with a time code he didn't recognize. Length, 46 seconds. Two voices came through, both his. One was desperate, cracked, breathing hard. The other was calm. Too calm. They overlapped in an unsettling way, sometimes speaking at the exact same time, sometimes finishing each other's sentences half a second off.
You can't keep doing this. It just gets worse. It doesn't get worse. It gets accurate. You said that the last time, and every other time.
The audio glitched. The same sentence repeated with slightly different inflections, as if multiple Daniels were trying to say it at once.
You never listen here.
The recording ended with a sharp inhale. Not on audio, from Daniel. He hadn't realized he'd matched the breath exactly. Dr. Levin's face had drained of color. He didn't say, deep fake. He didn't say, prank. Instead, he asked a question Daniel didn't want to answer.
Do you ever feel like you remember things that haven't happened yet?
Daniel stared at the floor.
Every day.
Levin typed something into his computer, then turned the monitor away slightly so Daniel couldn't see.
I want to run some scans. Not for a tumor, for patterning. If what you're describing is real, then your brain might be replaying or overlaying experiences.
From what?
Levin hesitated. Doctors didn't hesitate easily.
From versions of events you didn't live through.
He set an appointment for the following week. Daniel never made it back. That night, after the appointment, Daniel came home to an apartment that felt slightly wrong. The keys felt heavier. The hallway smelled faintly of smoke, even though nothing was burning. On his desk, his old journal lay open. He hadn't written in it since Kyle's funeral. Tonight, it was flipped to a page in the middle. A page dated 6 months from today. Same handwriting, same pen. The entry read, "You always think this is the first time. It never is. You keep trying to save Kyle. You never do. Stop fighting the pattern. It's not for you. His stomach dropped. He turned the page. Blank. He flipped backward through the journal. Nothing else out of place. His phone vibrated. New file received. 1. Video sender, unknown. Username, you asked for proof. His hands shook as he opened it. The video showed him, sitting at his own desk in the same clothes he was wearing now. The same mug. The same open journal. Future Daniel looked directly into the camera. No fear. Just exhausted acceptance.
You wanted something you can't rationalize away. So here it is.
He lifted his left hand and showed a scar on the back of it. A thin, horizontal line. Real Daniel glanced at his own hand. No scar. Future Daniel continued.
Your version, what, 30? It blurs. You always tell yourself you'll be the one to break it. That you'll answer Kyle. That you'll take a different street. That you'll sleep somewhere else. You never make it that far.
His voice cracked, just once.
Here's the part you never hear early enough. You're not the main loop. You're the reminder.
He leaned closer. The video glitched for a frame. For that one frame, there were 3 Daniels at the desk, all in slightly different positions. Then back to 1.
You're the version that remembers just a little more than the last one. We talked to you, so the next one has a chance. That's all you are. A storage unit.
Real Daniel whispered.
That's not true.
Future Daniel smirked.
You always say that.
The video ended abruptly. Immediately, a new voice memo appeared. Length, 2 seconds. His own voice saying,
Check your hand.
Daniel stared at his left hand. A sharp pain cut across the back of it. He watched, horrified, as a thin red line appeared, as if an invisible blade had traced the exact scar from the video. He dropped the phone and stumbled back from the desk. The room felt tilted, like reality had shifted a few degrees sideways. Daniel ran outside into the cold night air, heart racing, vision tunneling. The city felt layered. Headlights left streaks that lasted too long. Voices on the street sounded a half-second out of sync with moving mouths. He grabbed the edge of a brick wall just to feel something solid. A stranger walked past him, then doubled. For a brief moment, Daniel saw 2 of the same man, slightly out of phase, before they snapped back into one. He shut his eyes. Memories flashed that weren't his. Kyle calling him from a different bar. Kyle surviving. Kyle moving in with him. Kyle leaving a note. Kyle never existing. Overlapping lives. Overlapping failures. A car drove through the intersection ahead. For a split second, Daniel saw it hit someone. He gasped. Then the image blinked out. No one had been hit. The car passed through a clear crosswalk. The world was showing him outtakes. Deleted scenes. He wasn't hallucinating. He was remembering versions of events that never made it into this reality. He staggered back toward his building, desperate, shaking. That's when he saw him. Across the street, under a flickering street lamp, stood another Daniel. No hoodie this time, black coat. Tired eyes that had seen far more than his. The other Daniel was holding up a phone. Recording. Real Daniel shouted,
Stop this! I get it! I believe you! Just tell me how to fix it!
The other Daniel didn't lower the phone. He spoke with the flat calm of someone who'd said these words too many times.
You're not here to fix it.
Real Daniel's throat tightened.
Then what am I here for?
Other Daniel finally lowered the phone. He looked almost sad.
You're here so I don't forget.
Real Daniel shook his head, furious.
I'm not your hard drive.
Other Daniel's jaw clenched.
You think I like this? You think I want a trail of terrified versions of me, screaming in different stairwells, leaving notes I never read in time? You're the only one who still listens when we talk. You're the only one who still cares about Kyle enough to try.
He took a step closer across the street. For a moment, car headlights passed between them. In that split-second glare, there were dozens of Daniels. Different clothes, different hair, different ages, all standing in the same spot. When the light faded, only one remained.
If you stop remembering, the loop gets efficient. Clean, no resistance. We go from choice to script. Is that what you want?
Real Daniel couldn't answer. He thought of Kyle, of the missed call, of the voicemail he never played again.
What happens to me?
Other Daniel's voice softened.
What always happens. You break here. You run. You disappear. I inherit what's left of you, and then I talk to whoever comes next.
Real Daniel felt his knees buckle. He sank to the curb, hands in his hair, breathing shallow. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Daniel pulled out his phone with trembling hands. A new recording was already playing. He hadn't pressed anything. Live memo. Recording. He heard his own ragged breathing through the speaker, perfectly matching his breaths in real time. The voice on the memo, his voice, spoke over his own panic.
This is where you always ask what you're for.
Daniel looked up at the other him. The other Daniel was watching calmly.
This is where you realize there isn't an answer that makes sense.
Other Daniel crossed the street, slow, unhurried. Real Daniel couldn't move.
I'm sorry you're the one that remembers this much. Most of us get it easier.
Other Daniel stopped right in front of him. Up close, he looked older by more than years, like time had worn him down from the inside. He reached out a hand, not to hurt, not to grab, just to rest it on Daniel's shoulder.
You did better than the last one.
Daniel's eyes filled with tears.
Does it ever stop?
Other Daniel's silence was the real answer, but the recording gave the spoken one.
No.
The phone screen flickered. The red "recording" icon froze. The last thing Daniel heard was his own voice, quieter now.
Don't worry. He won't remember as much.
The screen went black. Then, in the dark, a phone screen lights up on a nightstand. New voice memo saved. Time, 3:14 a.m. We hear Daniel's voice one last time, calm and close.
Wake up. Don't look at the mirror.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more stories across many different genres. We will see you in the next one.